Bangkok, the bustling capital of Thailand, is a city that pulses with life, offering a mesmerizing blend of modernity and tradition. Known for its vibrant street life, ornate temples, and rich cultural history, Bangkok is a must-visit destination that captivates travelers with its unique charm. The city is famous for its stunning temples, including the iconic Wat Arun Temple of Dawn on the banks of the Chao Phraya River, the shimmering golden spires of Wat Pho Temple of the Emerald Buddha within the Grand Palace complex, and the serene, reclining Buddha of Wat Pho. These sacred sites showcase intricate architecture and are central to Bangkok's spiritual heart. Bangkok's streets are a feast for the senses, with lively markets, street food vendors, and vibrant tuk-tuks zipping through traffic. The Chatuchak Weekend Market is a shopper's paradise, offering everything from clothing to antiques, while the famous Khao San Road is a bustling hub for nightlife, backpackers, and entertainment. The city's culinary scene is legendary, with food ranging from delicious street dishes like pad thai, green curry, and mango sticky rice to upscale dining at rooftop restaurants like those in the Sathorn and Silo districts. The floating markets, such as Damnoan Saduat and Amphawa, offer a unique way to experience Thai food and culture. Despite its urban hustle, Bangkok offers pockets of tranquility. The lush green Lumphinie Park is perfect for a morning stroll, while a boat ride along the Chao Phraya River provides a different perspective of the city. For those seeking modern comforts, Bangkok's luxury shopping malls like Siam Paragon and Iconsiam offer high-end brands, gourmet dining, and entertainment. Bangkok seamlessly blends the old and new, where centuries-old temples stand alongside gleaming skyscrapers. It's a city that celebrates both its ancient traditions and its modern cosmopolitan vibe, making it a truly unforgettable destination. Bangkok, city, capital, and chief port of Thailand. It is the only cosmopolitan city in a country of small towns and villages and is Thailand's cultural and commercial center. Bangkok is located on the delta of the Chao Phraya River, about 25 miles 40 kilometers from the Gulf of Thailand. It was formerly divided into two municipalities, Kring Thep on the east bank and Thonburi on the west, connected by several bridges. In 1971, the two were united as a city-province with a single municipal government. In 1972, the city and the two surrounding provinces were merged into one province, called Kring Thep Mahanakho Bangkok Metropolis. The metropolis is a bustling, crowded city, with temples, factories, shops, and homes juxtaposed along its roads and canals. It is also a major tourist destination, noted for bountiful cultural attractions and a nightlife that includes a flourishing sex trade. The name Bangkok, used commonly by foreigners, is, according to one interpretation, derived from a name that dates to the time before the city was built, the village or district Bang of Wild Plums Makuk. The Thai call their capital Kring Thep, which is the first part of its mellifluous and lengthy official name meaning the City of Gods, the Great City, the residence of the Emerald Buddha, the impregnable city of Ayutthaya of God Indra, the grand capital of the world endowed with 9 precious gems. The happy city abounding in enormous royal palaces, which resemble the heavenly abode wherein dwell the reincarnated gods, a city given by Indra and built by Vishnukar. The abbreviated name Kring Thep is often translated as City of Angels. Area Bangkok Metropolis, 604 square miles 1,565 square kilometer. Bangkok, officially known in Thai as Kring Thep Mahanakho and colloquially as Kring Thep, is the capital and most populous city of Thailand. The city occupies 1,568.7 square kilometers 605. 7 sqmi in the Chao Phraya River Delta in central Thailand and has an estimated population of 9.0 million as of 2021, 13% of the country's population. Over 17.4 million people, 25%, lived within the surrounding Bangkok metropolitan region at the 2021 estimate, making Bangkok an extreme climate city, dwarfing Thailand's other urban centers in both size and importance to the national economy. Bangkok traces its roots to a small trading post during the Ayutthaya kingdom in the 15th century, which eventually grew and became the site of two capital cities, Thonburi in 1767 and Rattankosin in 1782. Bangkok was at the heart of the modernization of Siam during the late 19th century as the country faced pressures from the west. The city was at the center of the country's political struggles throughout the 20th century as Siam, later renamed Thailand, abolished absolute monarchy, adopted constitutional rule, and underwent numerous coups and several uprisings. The city, incorporated as a special administrative area under the Bangkok Metropolitan Administration in 1972, grew rapidly during the 1960s through the 1980s and now exerts a significant impact on Thailand's politics, economy, education, media and modern society. The Asian investment boom in the 1980s and 1990s led many multinational corporations to locate their regional headquarters in Bangkok. The city is now a regional force in finance, business and pop culture. It is an international hub for transport and healthcare and has emerged as a center for the arts, fashion and entertainment. The city is known for its street life and cultural landmarks, as well as its red light districts. The grand palace and Buddhist temples including Wat Arun and Wat Pho stand in contrast with other tourist attractions such as the nightlife scenes of Khao San Road and Wat Pho. Bangkok is among the world's top tourist destinations and has been named the world's most visited city consistently in several international rankings. Bangkok's rapid growth coupled with little urban planning has resulted in a haphazard cityscape and inadequate infrastructure. Despite an extensive expressway network, an inadequate road network and substantial private car usage have led to chronic and crippling traffic congestion, which caused severe air pollution in the 1990s. The city has since turned to public transport in an attempt to solve the problem, operating 10 urban rail lines and building other public transit. However, congestion remains a prevalent issue. The history of Bangkok dates at least back to the early 15th century, to when it was a village on the west bank of the Chao Phraya River, under the rule of Ayutthaya. Because of its strategic location near the mouth of the river, the town gradually increased in importance. Bangkok initially served as a customs outpost with forts on both sides of the river and was the site of a siege in 1688 in which the French were expelled from Siam. After the fall of Ayutthaya to the Burmese in 1767, the newly crowned King Taksin established his capital at the town, which became the base of the Thonburi kingdom. In 1782, King Phutthayotpha Chulalok Rama I succeeded Taksin, moved the capital to the eastern banks Rattankosin Island, thus founding the Rattankosin Kingdom. The city pillar was erected on 21st April 1782, which is regarded as the date of foundation of Bangkok as the capital. Bangkok's economy gradually expanded through international trade, first with China, then with Western merchants returning in the early to mid-19th century. As the capital, Bangkok was the center of Siam's modernization as it faced pressure from Western powers in the late 19th century. The reigns of Kings Mongkut Rama IV, 1851, 68 and Chulalongkorn Rama V. 1868-1910 saw the introduction of the steam engine, printing press, rail transport and utilities infrastructure in the city, as well as formal education and healthcare. Bangkok became the center stage for power struggles between the military and political elite as the country abolished absolute monarchy in 1932. As Thailand allied with Japan in World War II, Bangkok was subjected to Allied bombing but rapidly grew in the post-war period as a result of US aid and government-sponsored investment. Bangkok's role as a US military radar destination boosted its tourism industry as well as firmly establishing it as a sex tourism destination. Disproportionate urban development led to increasing income inequalities and migration from rural areas into Bangkok. Its population surged from 1.8 million to 3 million in the 1960s. Following the US withdrawal from Vietnam in 1973, Japanese businesses took over as leaders in investment, and the expansion of export-oriented manufacturing led to growth of the financial market in Bangkok. Rapid growth of the city continued through the 1980s and early 1990s until it was stalled by the 1997 Asian financial crisis. By then, many public and social issues had emerged, among them the strain on infrastructure reflected in the city's notorious traffic jams. Bangkok's role as the nation's political stage continues to be seen in strings of popular protests, from the student uprisings in 1973 and 1976, anti-military demonstrations in 1992, and frequent street protests since 2006. including those by groups opposing and supporting former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra from 2006 to 2013, and a renewed student-led movement in 2020. Administration of the city was first formalized by King Chulalongkorn in 1906 with the establishment of Mangthang Kringthep Phara Maha Nakho as a national subdivision. In 1915, the Mangthang was split into several provinces, the administrative boundaries of which have since further changed. The city in its current form was created in 1972 with the formation of the Bangkok Metropolitan Administration, following the merger of Phara Nakho province on the eastern bank of the Chao Phraya and Thonburi province on the west during the previous year. Bangkok is one of the world's top tourist destinations. Of 162 cities worldwide, MasterCard ranked Bangkok as the top destination city by international visitor arrivals in its Global Destination Cities Index 2018, ahead of London, with just over 20 million overnight visitors in 2017. This was a repeat of its 2017 ranking for 2016. Euromonitor International ranked Bangkok 4th in its top city destinations ranking for 2016. Bangkok was also named World's Best City by Travel Plus Leisure magazine's survey of its readers for 4 consecutive years, from 2010 to 2013. As the main gateway through which visitors arrive in Thailand, Bangkok is visited by the majority of international tourists to the country. Domestic tourism is also prominent. The Department of Tourism recorded 26,861,095 Thai and 11,361,808 foreign visitors to Bangkok in 2010. Lodgings were made by 15,031,244 guests, who occupied 49.9% of the city's 86,687 hotel rooms. Bangkok also topped the list as the world's most popular tourist destinations in 2017 rankings. Among Bangkok's well-known sites are the Grand Palace and major Buddhist temples, including Wat Pho, Wat Pho, and Wat Arun. The giant swing and Iravan shrine demonstrate Hinduism's deep-rooted influence in Thai culture. Vimanmit Mansion in Dusit Palace is famous as the world's largest teak building, while the Jim Thompson House provides an example of traditional Thai architecture. Other major museums include the Bangkok National Museum and the Royal Barge National Museum. Cruises and boat trips on the Chao Phraya and the canals of Thonburi offer views of some of the city's traditional architecture and ways of life on the waterfront. Shopping venues, many of which are popular with both tourists and locals, range from the shopping centers and department stores concentrated in Siam and Ratchaprayong to the sprawling Chatuchak weekend market. Tailing Chan Floating Market is among the few such markets in Bangkok. Yaowarat is known for its shops as well as street-side food stalls and restaurants, which are also found throughout the city. Khao San Road has long been famous as a destination for backpacker tourism, with its budget accommodation, shops and bars attracting visitors from all over the world. Bangkok has a reputation overseas as a major destination in the sex industry. Although prostitution is technically illegal and is rarely openly discussed in Thailand, it commonly takes place among massage parlors, saunas and hourly hotels, serving foreign tourists as well as locals. Bangkok has acquired the nickname Sin City of Asia for its level of sex tourism. Issues often encountered by foreign tourists include scams, overcharging and dual pricing. In a survey of 616 tourists visiting Thailand, 7.79% reported encountering a scam, the most common of which was the gem scam, in which tourists are tricked into buying overpriced jewelry. Bangkok covers an area of 1,568.7 square kilometers, 605.7 sq mi, ranking 69th among the other 76 provinces of Thailand. Of this, about 700 square kilometers, 270 sq mi form the built-up urban area. It is ranked 73rd in the world in terms of land area. The city's urban sprawl reaches into parts of the 6 other provinces that it borders, namely, in clockwise order from northwest, Nonthaburi, Pathum Thani, Chachoengsao, Samut Prakan, Samut Shako, and Nakho Patho. With the exception of Chachoengsao, these provinces, together with Bangkok, form the Greater Bangkok Metropolitan Region. Bangkok is situated in the Chao Phraya River Delta in Thailand's central plain. The river meanders through the city in a southerly direction, emptying into the Gulf of Thailand approximately 25 kilometers 16 mi south of city center. The area is flat and low-lying, with an average elevation of 1.5 meters 4 feet 11 in above sea level. Most of the area was originally swampland, which was gradually drained and irrigated for agriculture by the construction of canals which took place from the 16th to 19th centuries. The course of the river as it flows through Bangkok has been modified by the construction of several shortcut canals. The city's waterway network served as the primary means of transport until the late 19th century, when modern roads began to be built. Up until then, most people lived near or on the water, leading the city to be known during the 19th century as the Venice of the East. Many of these canals have since been filled in or paved over, but others still crisscross the city, serving as major drainage channels and transport routes. Most canals are now badly polluted, although the BMA has committed to the treatment and cleaning up of several canals. The geology of the Bangkok area is characterized by a top layer of soft marine clay, known as Bangkok clay, averaging 15 meters 49 feet in thickness, which overlies an aquifer system consisting of 8 known units. This feature has contributed to the effects of subsidence caused by extensive groundwater pumping. First discovered in the 1970s, subsidence soon became a critical issue, reaching a rate of 120 mm 4.7 in per year in 1981. Groundwater management and mitigation measures have since lessened the severity of the situation, and the rate of subsidence decreased to 10 to 30 mm 0.39 to 1.18 in per year in the early 2000s, though parts of the city are now 1 meter 3 feet 3 in below sea level. Subsidence has resulted in increased flood risk, as Bangkok is already prone to flooding due to its low elevation and an inadequate drainage infrastructure, often compounded by blockage from rubbish pollution, especially plastic waste. The city now relies on flood barriers and augmenting drainage from canals by pumping and building drain tunnels, but parts of Bangkok and its suburbs are still regularly inundated. Heavy downpours resulting in urban runoff, overwhelming drainage systems, and runoff discharge from upstream areas are major triggering factors. Severe flooding affecting much of the city occurred in 1995 and 2011. In 2011, most of Bangkok's northern, eastern and western districts were flooded, in some places for over 2 months. Bangkok's coastal location makes it particularly vulnerable to rising sea levels due to global warming and climate change. A study by the OECD has estimated that 5.138 million people in Bangkok may be exposed to coastal flooding by 2070, the seventh highest figure among the world's port cities. There are fears that the city may be submerged by 2030. A study published in October 2019 in Nature Communications corrected earlier models of coastal elevations and concluded that up to 12 million Thais, mostly in the greater Bangkok metropolitan area, face the prospect of annual flooding events. This is compounded by coastal erosion, which is an issue in the Gulf coastal area, a small length of which lies within Bangkok's Bang Khun Thien district. Tidal flat ecosystems existed on the coast, however, many have been reclaimed for agriculture, aquaculture, and salt works. There are no mountains in Bangkok. The closest mountain range is the Khao Kiao Massif, about 40 kilometers 25 mi southeast of the city. Phu Khao Thong, the only hill in the metropolitan area, originated with a very large chedi that King Rama III 1787-1851 built at Wat Sake. The chedi collapsed during construction because the soft soil could not support its weight. Over the next few decades, the abandoned mud and brick structure acquired the shape of a natural hill and became overgrown with weeds. The locals called it Phu Khao, as if it were a natural feature. In the 1940s, enclosing concrete walls were added to stop the hill from eroding. Like most of Thailand, Bangkok has a tropical savanna climate under the Köppen climate classification and is under the influence of the Asian monsoon system. The city experiences 3 seasons, hot, rainy, and cool, although temperatures are fairly hot year-round, ranging from an average low of 23.2 degrees Celsius (73.8 degrees Fahrenheit) in December to an average high of 35.7 degrees Celsius (96.3 degrees Fahrenheit) in April. The annual average temperature is 28.9 degrees Celsius, 84.0 degrees Fahrenheit. The rainy season begins with the arrival of the southwest monsoon around mid-May. September is the wettest month, with an average rainfall of 335.9 millimeters, 13.22 inches. The rainy season lasts until October, when the dry and cool northeast monsoon takes over until February. The hot season is generally dry, but also sees occasional summer storms. The surface magnitude of Bangkok's urban heat island has been measured at 2.5 degrees Celsius, 4.5 degrees Fahrenheit during the day and 8.0 degrees Celsius, 14 degrees Fahrenheit at night. The highest recorded temperature of Bangkok metropolis was 41.0 degrees Celsius, 105.8 degrees Fahrenheit on 7th May 2023. And the lowest recorded temperature was 9.9 degrees Celsius, 49.8 degrees Fahrenheit in January 1955. The Climate Impact Group at NASA's Goddard Institute for Space Studies projected severe weather impacts on Bangkok caused by climate change. It found that Bangkok in 1960 had 193 days at or above 32 degrees Celsius. In 2018, Bangkok can expect 276 days at or above 32 degrees Celsius. The group forecasts a rise by 2102, on average, 297 to 344 days at or above 32 degrees Celsius. Bangkok's districts often do not accurately represent the functional divisions of its neighborhoods or land usage. Although urban planning policies date back to the commission of the Litchfield Plan in 1960, which set out strategies for land use, transportation and general infrastructure improvements, zoning regulations were not fully implemented until 1992. As a result, the city grew organically throughout the period of its rapid expansion, both horizontally as ribbon developments extended along newly built roads, and vertically, with increasing numbers of high-rises and skyscrapers being built in commercial areas. The city has grown from its original center along the river into a sprawling metropolis surrounded by swaths of suburban residential development extending north and south into neighboring provinces. The highly populated and growing cities of Nonthaburi, Pakret, Rangasit and Samut Prakan are effectively now suburbs of Bangkok. Nevertheless, large agricultural areas remain within the city proper at its eastern and western fringes, and a small number of forest area is found within the city limits, 3,887 rise 6.2 kilometers, 2.4 sqmi, amounting to 0.4% of city area. Land use in the city consists of 23% residential use, 24% agriculture, and 30% used for commerce, industry, and government. The BMA's City Planning Department is responsible for planning and shaping further development. It published master plan updates in 1999 and 2006, and a third revision is undergoing public hearings in 2012. Bangkok's historic center remains the Rattankosin Island in Phra Nakhon district. It is the site of the Grand Palace and the City Pillar Shrine, primary symbols of the city's founding, as well as important Buddhist temples. Phra Nakhon, along with the neighboring Pom Prap Satrufai and Samphanthawong districts, formed what was the city proper in the late 19th century. Many traditional neighborhoods and markets are found here, including the Chinese settlement of Samphang. The city was expanded toward Dusit district in the early 19th century, following King Chulalongkorn's relocation of the royal household to the new Dusit Palace. The buildings of the palace, including the neoclassical Ananta Samkhom Throne Hall, as well as the Royal Plaza and Ratchadamnuan Avenue which leads to it from the Grand Palace, reflect the heavy influence of European architecture at the time. Major government offices line the avenue, as does the Democracy Monument. The area is the site of the country's seat of power as well as the city's most popular tourist landmarks. In contrast with the low-rise historic areas, the business district on Silom and Satho roads in Bangkok and Satho districts teems with skyscrapers. It is the site of many of the country's major corporate headquarters, but also of some of the city's red light districts. The Siam and Ratchaprasong areas in Pathum Gwan are home to some of the largest shopping malls in Southeast Asia. Numerous retail outlets and hotels also stretch along Sukhumvit Road leading southeast through Vathana and Klong Toi districts. More office towers line the streets branching off Sukhumvit, especially Asok Muntari, while upmarket housing is found in many of its sois alley or lane. Bangkok lacks a single distinct central business district. Instead, the areas of Siam and Ratchaprasong serve as a central shopping district containing many of the bigger malls and commercial areas in the city, as well as Siam Station, formerly the only transfer point between the cities, then to elevated train lines the Sukhumvit and Silo BTS lines. The Victory Monument in Ratchathevy district is among its most important road junctions, serving over 100 bus lines as well as an elevated train station. From the monument, Phahonyothin and Ratchavithi Dindang roads respectively run north and east, linking to major residential areas. Most of the high-density development areas are within the 113 square kilometer 44 SQMI area encircled by the Ratchathevy Inner Ring Road. Ratchathevy is lined with businesses and retail outlets, and office buildings also cluster around Ratchayothin intersection in Chatuchak district to the north. Farther from the city center, most areas are primarily mid or low-density residential. The Thonburi side of the city is less developed, with fewer high-rises. With the exception of a few secondary urban centers, Thonburi, in the same manner as the outlying eastern districts, consists mostly of residential and rural areas. While most of Bangkok's streets are fronted by vernacular shophouses, the largely unrestricted building euphoria of the 1980s has transformed the city into an urban area of skyscrapers and high-rises of contrasting and clashing styles. There are 581 skyscrapers over 90 meters, 300 feet tall in the city. Bangkok was ranked as the world's 8th tallest city in 2016. As a result of persistent economic disparity, many slums have emerged in the city. In 2000 there were over 1 million people living in about 800 informal settlements. Some settlements are squatted, such as the large slums in Klong Toi district. In total there were 125 squatted areas. Bangkok is the economic center of Thailand and the heart of the country's investment and development. In 2022, the city had an economic output of 5.747 trillion baht, $164 billion. This amounted to a per capita GDP value of 634,109 baht, $18,100, more than twice the national average. The Bangkok metropolitan region had a combined output of 8.096 trillion baht, $232 billion. Wholesale and retail trade is the largest sector in the city's economy, contributing 24% of Bangkok's gross provincial product. It is followed by manufacturing 14.3%, real estate, renting and business activities 12.4%, transport and communications 11.6%, and financial intermediation 11.1%. Bangkok alone accounts for 48.4% of Thailand's service sector, which in turn constitutes 49% of GDP. When the Bangkok metropolitan region is considered, manufacturing is the most significant contributor at 28.2% of the gross regional product, reflecting the density of industry in the Bangkok's neighboring provinces. The automotive industry based around Greater Bangkok is the largest production hub in Southeast Asia. Tourism is also a significant contributor to Bangkok's economy, generating 427.5 billion baht, $13.38 billion in revenue in 2010. The stock exchange of Thailand is on Ratchathevy Road in Inner Bangkok. The SET, together with the market for alternative investment, has 648 listed companies as of the end of 2011, with a combined market capitalization of 8.485 trillion baht, $267.64 billion. Due to the large amount of foreign representation, Thailand has for several years been a mainstay of the Southeast Asian economy and a center of Asian business. The Globalization and World Cities Research Network ranks Bangkok as an Alpha World City, and it is ranked 59th in ZEN's Global Financial Centers Index 11. Bangkok is home to the headquarters of all of Thailand's major commercial banks and financial institutions, as well as the country's largest companies. Many multinational corporations base their regional headquarters in Bangkok due to the lower cost of labor and operations relative to other major Asian business centers. 17 Thai companies are listed on the Forbes 2000, all of which are based in the capital, including PTT, the only Fortune Global 500 company in Thailand. Income inequality is a major issue in Bangkok, especially between relatively unskilled lower-income immigrants from rural provinces and neighboring countries, and middle-class professionals and business elites. Although absolute poverty rates are low, only 0.64% of Bangkok's registered residents were living under the poverty line in 2010, compared to a national average of 7.75%. Economic disparity is still substantial. The city has a Gini coefficient of 0.48, indicating a high level of inequality. The culture of Bangkok reflects its position as Thailand's center of wealth and modernization. The city has long been the portal of entry of Western concepts and material goods, which have been adopted and blended with Thai values to various degrees by its residents. This is most evident in the lifestyles of the expanding middle class. Conspicuous consumption serves as a display of economic and social status, and shopping centers are popular weekend hangouts. A distinct feature of Bangkok is the ubiquity of street vendors selling goods ranging from food items to clothing and accessories. It has been estimated that the city may have over 100,000 hawkers. While the BMA has authorized the practice in 287 sites, the majority of activity in another 407 sites takes place illegally. Although they take up pavement space and block pedestrian traffic, many of the city's residents depend on these vendors for their meals, and the BMA's efforts to curb their numbers have largely been unsuccessful. In 2015, however, the BMA, with support from the National Council for Peace and Order, Thailand's ruling military junta, began cracking down on street vendors in a bid to reclaim public space. Many famous market neighborhoods were affected, including Klong Thom, Saffron Lake, and the flower market at Park Klong Talak. Nearly 15,000 vendors were evicted from 39 public areas in 2016. While some applauded the efforts to focus on pedestrian rights, others have expressed concern that gentrification would lead to the loss of the city's character and adverse changes to people's way of life. Bangkok became the capital of Siam as Thailand was previously known in 1782, when General Chao Phraya River, the founder of the ruling Chakri dynasty, assumed the throne as Rama I and moved the court from the west to the east bank of the Chao Phraya River. The move appears to have been dictated by strategic considerations. The wide westward bend in the river constituted a wide moat guarding the northern, western, and southern perimeters of the new site. To the east stretched a vast, swampy delta called the Sea of Mud, which could be traversed only with extreme difficulty. Rama I modeled the new city on the former capital, Ayutthaya, 40 miles 64 kilometers to the north. By the end of his reign, the city was established. The walled Grand Palace complex and the temple Wat Pho were completed. A new city wall, perhaps the most imposing structure, skirted the river and Klong Kong to the east. It was 4.5 miles 7 kilometers long, 10 feet 3 meters thick, and 13 feet 4 meters high, and it had 63 gates and 15 forts. The area enclosed amounted to 1.5 square miles, 4 square kilometer. More Wats were built during the reigns of Rama II 1809-24 and Rama III 1824-51. They served as schools, libraries, hospitals, and recreation areas, as well as religious centers. During these years, Wat Arun, noted for its tall spire, Wat Yan Nawa, and Wat Bowan Nivat were completed, Wat Pho was further enlarged, and Wat Sutak was begun. There were, however, few other substantial buildings and fewer paved streets. The river and the network of interconnected canals served as roadways. Rama IV 1851-68 developed the city while continuing, at a reduced rate, the traditional building of Wats. The Grand Palace was improved, a number of substantial dwellings were constructed for members of the royal family, several new streets were laid down, and a reduction was made in the large number of floating houses anchored along the riverfront. A new route, Charuan Kring New Road, leading southward, was constructed, and a new city moat, Klong Phadung Kring Kashim, parallel to the city's first canal, was dug and fortified. A long canal led from it to the present port area Klong Toi, thus allowing small boats to bypass the large bend in the river immediately south of the city. A pony path, now a major highway, was laid atop the mud heaped up beside this waterway. During the long reign of Ramavi, King Chulalongkorn 1868-1910, the city was transformed through a program of public works. The great triple-spired Chakri building in the Grand Palace was completed by 1880. The Dusit Palace and an ancillary garden city were later built beyond the wall, being connected to the Grand Palace by the European-inspired Ratchadamnoan Nok Road. A road and bridge building program was embarked on in earnest, because King Chulalongkorn, an early automobile enthusiast, foresaw the effect that the motor vehicle would have on city development. Most of the now obsolete city wall was pulled down to build the roads, but two forts, a large gate, and a section of the wall were preserved. The centenary of the city, in 1882, was marked by the inauguration of many social reforms manifested in the public buildings used for their administration, as well as by the completion of the great royal temple, Wat Pho, which housed the Emerald Buddha. A post and telegraph service was organized in the 1880s. An electric tram service was instituted on Charoen Kring in 1892, and the first line of the state railway, running from Bangkok to Phra Nakhosi Ayutthaya, opened in 1900. Nor were aesthetic considerations forgotten, for other new buildings included the marble temple of Wat Benchmabopit 1900, elegant bridges in the French style, and the Italian-inspired National Assembly Hall Throne Hall. Rama VI 1910-25 continued the program of public works. He established Chulalongkorn University in 1916, built a system of locks to control the level of waterways throughout the city, and gave the public its first and largest recreational area, Lumphinie Park. During Rama VII's reign 1925, 35 municipal areas were delimited as part of a general administrative reorganization aimed at decentralization. In 1937, Bangkok was formally divided into the municipalities of Kring Thep and Thonburi. At the time of their establishment, the two municipalities, approximately equal in area, together covered about 37 square miles 96 square kilometer, about 4/5 of the city's population lived in Kring Thep. Since World War II, Bangkok has grown with unprecedented rapidity, which caused problems with transportation, communication, housing, water supply, drainage, and pollution. Tourism rose in importance during the Vietnam War, when the city became a popular destination for US military personnel. By the 1980s, nightclubs and the tourist sex trade, as well as crime and sexually transmitted diseases, were flourishing. Although prostitution is formally illegal and the number of prostitutes per capita is lower in Thailand than in some other Asian countries, the city's commercial sex industry employs an estimated 100,000 people and is popular among foreign tourists. However, the vast majority of clients are Thai nationals. To combat abuses, notably underage prostitution, the government stiffened penalties for both patrons and brothel operators during the 1990s. That those responsible for modernizing the metropolis are coping with these problems suggests the appropriateness of its official emblem, the god Indra seated atop a sacred white elephant, the four tusks of which denote its celestial status and its ability to accomplish the impossible. Throughout the 1980s, the city experienced an economic boom, which was blunted by an economic crisis that hit Asia in the late 1990s. However, the city continued its role as one of Asia's most important tourist, financial, and commercial centers. The city's uniquely Thai character, while perhaps diminishing, provides a vibrant backdrop for Bangkok's cosmopolitan image.